I didn't know I was timed out. I was busy speaking Queen's English to a Zoom server. All right, welcome back, everyone. Can we continue? Please confirm you can hear me. Hello, can you hear me, everyone? Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So I've just shown us how to create a user, and then we need to confirm if the user exists. Then I told us all we need to do is to go and view the password file. So to do that, we can either go to the file to be able to cut, or we can do it from where we are currently. If we are to do it from here, all we need to do is just to use the full path to the file. All right. I'm sorry, I'm trying to run one or two production servers together, and that explains why my ISP keeps struggling. Okay, so let's get to it. Get entry password. Do you see our new user here? That's our new user. Okay. So for those that followed the class, who wants to create a user for himself or herself? I can help with the command sudo user add. Who's taking the lead?
Cletus.
Okay, so Mr. Cletus, you want to put password on your user?
Yeah,
Sudo password.
don't add. Right.
Say that again. Can you hear me, Mr. Cletus? Okay, I had to quickly move production to another PC so I can have unfiltered unfiltered access to here. All right, so Mr. Cletus, go ahead now. Let's put a password on your user.
password. Command is not complete.
sudo password.
What's the, yeah.
Thank you. So this is what I'm going to use. Computer 1. Okay, the first letter, the first character in uppercase. Computer 1. So again, if I run get entry password, see all the users we have now. Cletus, Bose. Okay. The same thing if you do it on Ubuntu, it's the same process. Now that we have users, Cletus, we have users, Bose, what other things do you think comes with that with those users? And how can we confirm them? Are you with me?
Yeah, is it the group?
What other things comes with the user?
I'm asking if it's the groups, like the group.
I would say the directories. I don't know if that's the folders or directory.
The user homes, you mean, yeah? Or the home directories.
Yes.
That's correct. What else?
Directories. Files.
Their files are within their directories, but we do not have any files here because they are new users. I thought those two
Group.
things are created when you create users.
Groups.
Okay, groups. I actually had you, but I didn't respond because you are throwing question back with a question. Yeah. So we said we have primary groups and home directories. Okay. So can we switch to one of the users? Let's switch to Bosse. And then we enter password. So we are in the user home of Bosse at the moment. If I run print working directory, you see that we are inside Bosse user home, Bosse's home directory, right? And I told us this is where to find all the home directories of the users on your Linux system. So we have Bosse home directory, Cletus home directory, EC2 user home directory, and Francis home directory. And if we want to see the primary group of these individual users, where do we need to go? CD etc. And then if we cut the group file, do you see it? EC2 user, Francis, home, Cletus, Apache users. Well, okay, so let's clear screen. Let me quickly remind us of something. I'm in the user home of Bosse. If I want to view the content of password file, we know that to view a file, you either use cat, which means concatenate, or you use more, right? You either use cat or you use more. To use cat, you have to, since I'm not in the home, in the parent folder, rather, I'm not in the parent folder of the password file, which is etc. If I want to view password file from here, I told us in our last class that what do we need to do? We need to use the full path or the absolute path. Okay. So that I don't get confused with all these navigations. If you are not in the parent folder of a particular file or a particular folder, then to access or to do anything with such file or folder, you must specify the absolute path. This is what I'm saying. Look at my screen and please pay attention. There's a file called password. Inside that file, I will find all the users on the Linux system. If I want to view that file, the file is inside the etc folder. Okay. If I want to view the file, then I need to go into etc folder to view the file. If I do not want to go into etc folder before viewing the file, then I will need to specify the full path to that file from wherever I am. So look at it. If I say cat password, it does not exist in this current directory, but I know where it is. So what I would need to do is cat root etc password. That's it. Another way I can do it is to go into etc folder first and then run cat password without using the full path. Let me show you. So I'll say cd put etc. I'm inside etc folder. Because I'm in the parent folder of the file I want to view, I can now run cat password without specifying the path. I hope you get the reason why I was so fast the initial time in adding a password file now. Okay, and don't forget you can also use get entry, but get entry will only work for known database files. Okay. Okay. Can I clear screen from here? Okay. So we've seen how to create users. Now, how do we make a user a sudoer? How do we make a user a sudoer? It's simple. If the user is on a distro of Linux, if the server is a Linux distro under RPM, then the name of the group you will add the user to is called wheel. WHEEL, wheel. If it's a Linux distro under Debian package, the name of the group is called sudo. All right, so I'm beginning to show us the difference between these two different packages now. I want to make a user here a super user. In other literature, you find them called elevated users. Then I will add the user to the sudo group. Okay. But for RPM, Red Hat Package Managers, distros of Linux under RPM, if I want to make a user a super user here, I add the user to the group called wheel group. Okay. Now let me show you one by one. Okay. I need to check what's happening to my ISP. I thought it was the production processes I was running initially, but it turns out it is not. Okay. Get entry group. That's one. Then here as well, let us also run get entry group. Get entry group. So we do not have any user apart from Ubuntu here. So where is sudo? I have seen sudo, look at it. And the group ID of sudo is 27. And the member of this sudo group is Ubuntu, just one member. Are you seeing this, everyone?
Yes, we can see.
All right, so what it means is Ubuntu is a member of this sudo group. On Amazon Linux, I said the name of the group here is called Wheel Group. Let's go find it. Look at it, Wheel Group. EC2 user is a member of the wheel group. That means EC2 user is a super user. It can use sudo command. Francis is also a member of the wheel group. It means Francis is also a user, a super user. Francis can also use the sudo command. But remember, we have cat password. Okay, sorry. I should run get end password if I'm not going to use the full path. We have Bosse and Cletus. So let us add Bosse and Cletus to sudoers group. Command is this. Now, only a member of the sudoers group can add another member. Someone who is not part of the group cannot add itself or another person to the group. That's why we are doing that as EC2 user. Okay. So to do that, we'll say sudo user mode. User mode means user modification. We are about to modify a user. Like AG, small a and big G, lowercase a, uppercase G. And what does that mean? Lowercase a means retain the primary group of the user, and capital G says make the new group one of the secondary groups. Okay. Retain the primary group of the user. Do not change the primary group of the user. And make this group we are adding the user to the secondary group to the user. So if you will process part of the things we've been hearing, we are about to add Bosse to the wheel group. And we are saying retain the primary group of Bosse and let wheel be a secondary group that Bosse belongs to. So what is the primary group of Bosse? Anybody wants to try? What's the primary group of Bose? Anyone? Okay, so nobody knows the primary group of Bose. Okay, let's continue. Let us listen to past videos and figure it out. So let's add Bose to the wheel group now. So can we confirm if we have added Bose to the wheel group? We can either go to cat the group file, which we can use get entry group. And if we scroll to the wheel group, look at it. We now have Bose as a member of the wheel group. So what that means is Bose is now a super user. Can we switch to Bose? And password, clear, CD. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Can I see the primary group of the user is EC2?
Hello, Mr. Cletus, go ahead, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay, can I see the primary group of Bose is EC2?
Can you see the primary group of Bose is EC2?
Yes.
No, sir, you can't.
I want to clarify.
Okay, no, you can't. I mean, I've told us severally what primary groups are, and I told us when you create a user, you create two things. I can't remember how many times I've said this. You create the primary group of the user, and you also create the home directory of that user. And then I said the three of them BS the same thing. What three things? The user, the primary group that was created, and the home directory that was created. So you can't say EC2 user is the primary group of Bose.
Okay. Technically, the primary group of Bose is Bose.
Simple. So it's a simple question I ask.
We are still trying to assimilate the whole of
It
this.
should not
I
be difficult
know.
to assimilate that part. It shouldn't be difficult to assimilate what I've said more than 50 times in class. Yeah. Because when you work with Linux, some of this information, if you process them properly, guides you into navigating. Yeah. So let's move on. I know it's a gradual process. You're going to catch up. You just need to put more effort and try not to be absent-minded, okay? We've been able to create user and we've added Bose to the primary, to the sudoers group, I mean. So let's perform something only sudoers can do as Bose. Now, can we also create an account? So let's say user add Ola now. Permission denied. So if permission denied, what do we do? Use sudo. Now, because it is the first time Bose is using the right, this privilege, Linux is telling Bose three things. We trust you have received the usual lecture from the local system admin. It always boils down to these three things. respect the privacy of others, think before you type, and with great power comes great responsibility. Okay? And you also want to know that when you're working on the Linux system, everything you're doing is being logged under the user that is doing it. Okay, so let's put in the password. And now we've created a user called Ola. What do we do next? We put password on Ola. That's it. Simple. Next, can we also make Ola a super user? We say sudo user modification flag AJ, the name of the group will, the name of the user, Ola. Okay. So if we go look at the group get entry group, and we scroll up to will, you see Ola is a member, Bossa is a member, EC2 user is a member. Okay. If I run ordinary groups, let me clear screen first. If I run ordinary groups here, it's going to show me the groups that Bosse belongs to. Okay, so let's quickly revise this together now. Remember, we say when you create users, two things are created: the primary group of the user and also the home directory. So it means that Bosse first belongs to its own primary group, this user here. Okay, so when I run groups would show me all the groups that this current user belongs to, which is the Bosse primary group, and the rest are secondary group, which is will. Okay, that's it. How then do you delete users? To delete user, sudo user del, which is user delete or user deal, whichever, however you want to pronounce it. If user add is to add, then user deal is to delete. Sudo user del followed by the username. I saw one Francis. Let's delete it. When you delete this way, it is just going to delete the user only. But there are other things with that user which you already know: the home directory and the primary group. So let's try it one by one. Francis has been deleted. How do we know? Let's run get entry password. So I no longer see Francis here. That means it has been deleted. Okay. But if I cd into home and I list, I still see Francis here. What does that tell us? It means the user has been deleted, but the user home, the home directory of that user, was not deleted. Remember the first time I showed us this place, and I gave us a warning or a caution that do not come to the home folder and assume that all the names you find there are the users on your Linux server at the moment. No, it is not correct. I told us the only place you can go to and you're sure to see all the users on your server is to go and view the password file. This is a case of what I'm talking about. Currently, this user, Francis, is no longer on our server, but the user home of Francis is here. And because Francis as a user has been deleted, that's why you are seeing the user ID of Francis and the group ID of Francis. Okay. So if you want to delete a user and ensure everything about that user is gone, then you must add to the command. What do we normally add if we want to delete order associated with something? What's the flag?
R.
Thank you. Flag R. So it says delete all that has to do with this user. And we try for Ola now. Okay. So if I list, see that we no longer see Ola here. If I also run get entry password, Ola is no longer here as well. And if I also run get entry group, Ola is also not here. So to delete a user recursively, just use the command flag R. That's it. About users done. How then do we create groups? Let's create groups. If user add is to create user, what will it be to create group? Just change one word. User add to create user. To create group will now be what?
Group add.
Thank you. Group add. So can we create a group? So we say sudo group add sales group. As simple as that. So how do we know the group sales has been created?
Do we sudo password?
Password is for you don't need password on groups. You can't put password on groups. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Good attempt. But you don't have to put password. You can't even put password on groups. It's a group. You can only put password on users. So how do we know that a group has been created?
You can list.
You can what?
List just LL for example.
LL what? What do we list?
Just LL and see what will pop up.
No. What will LL do for us? Let's
Can
start
we
from there. What do you say?
get entry?
Beautiful. What do we get entry?
Groups.
Beautiful groups. I mean, you people think it's really rocket science. This thing is simple. It's what you've been hearing us talk about all this while. So that's why I challenge your thought process, Mr. Cletus, when you ask me to list. So let's get back to you. What do you think list will do for us? You say I should run LS. I
No,
just don't want
LL.
you to be shooting command everywhere because you know it. Know why you're using command. What will LL do for us, Mr. Cletus?
To list the users and the group.
That's not true.
Just the users.
No, sir. And I'm not the one that taught you that one. That one is from your. I don't know where that one is coming from. Class, what will Ellen do for us? Okay. Nobody knows what LL will do. LL will do a detailed listing of the current directory where you are for you. Okay. When you run LL is the alias for ls flag L. And I taught us that to list the content of this current directory, the command is ls in short form, okay? Or you say ls flag L, okay? And this is a new user per se. We do not have anything created in this user. That's why you're not seeing anything. Can I exit? We are back to EC2 user where we have things. So if I run LL, you see that it listed for us the content of this current folder where we are. So when I created group and you ask me to list, I'm wondering what do you want me to list? Okay, so we have a file called group, and it is in that file that you will see all groups. So you ask me to get into group. And that's it. Look at sales. So can we add EC2 user to the group sales? The command, we've used it before. Sudo user add flag AG, name of the group, sales, the name of the user, EC2 user. Okay, why is it showing us that? Sorry, it should not be user add. User what? Mode. That's the command to add. And that's it. So if I run group, groups, the command groups show me all the groups that EC2 user belongs to. It belongs to EC2 user group, admin group, real group, system, journal group. I'm not seeing sales yet. If I run ID, I'm also not seeing sales, but can we go get int groups? The reason why it's not showing us yet, if we restart the server, it's going to show us. Okay, do you see sales group is the last on the list? And EC2 user is a member of sales group. Can we also add other users like Bosse and Lettuce? The command does not change. Sudo user mode flag lowercase a, uppercase G, the name of the group, sales, the name of the user, Cletus. Can also do that for Bosse. Okay. And if I get entry groups, sorry, it says Cletus is now a member of the sales group, and Bosse is also a member of the sales group. Okay. So what's the application of this? You are in an office and then you've been asked to give limited permission to a specific file or a specific folder. Okay. All you need to do is create a group, add only the persons that should have access to such folder to that group. And then you give permission to that file to two set of people, the owner of that file and only the members of the group. It's as simple as that. So every other members on the server, every other users on the server do not have access to the file. Okay. And when we get into permissions, we're going to see that play out. So we've created groups. Can we also create another group? The command is simple: sudo group add hr. And we will run get entry group. We now see a new group HR. To add members to the group is also simple. Okay, so if group add is to create a group, then what do we do to delete a group? What word do we change?
R.
Yeah.
Group R.
No, group, look at it.
Delete group deal.
Thank you, group deal. If group add is to create it, then group deal is to delete the group. Okay, so let's delete the groups we have created. We say sudo group deal, the name of the group, HR. And if I run get entry group, HR is gone. Okay, can we do that for sales? We run get entry group, sales is also gone. Can we do that for Apache senior group? Cannot remove primary group of user Apache. Good. Why do you think we cannot remove the primary group of the user? Anybody wants to try? Okay, let me try and remove EC2 user. Maybe that will give us a clue. Cannot remove primary group of user ICT user. So why do you think we are unable to remove it? Because the user still exists. Okay. You cannot remove the primary group of a user when the user is still existing. Okay. So if I want to forcefully remove a primary group of a user, what I'll do is pull out the user from that primary group. Okay. But I don't think there'll be any reason for you to do that. Not even that at this level. Okay. So we've talked about users using how to create users, using how to create groups, and then how to delete group as well. What then do we need to do? Let's try it on the other server. Okay. So that you see what we're talking about. Can we also create group here before we go for break? So let everybody create group for themselves. Who's taking the lead? Sudo user add coach, sudo password coach. Okay. I think I made a mistake. That's something about entering password. You're not seeing it. Oh, correct. So I've created the user coach. And how about adding coach to the sudoers group? So I'll say sudo user modification flag AG, the name of the group, sudo, the name of the user coach. Now, don't forget, we said that if you want to make a user a sudoer, which also means you want to elevate a user. Elevated user also means is a sudoer. On a Linux distro that is under Debian Package Manager, then you add the user to the group called sudo. If it were to be on a Linux distro under Red Hat Package Manager, the name of the group is called wheel. Okay, so that's what we have done here. So now if we run get entry password, coach user is here. If we also run get entry group, coach group is also here. And if I go to, you will not see wheel group here. Okay, what you will see instead is sudo. Anybody saying sudo? I saw it now and that disappeared again. Look at it. Sudo. And coach is also a member of the sudo group. So if I want to get entry password and I don't want to see everything, I just want to see something specific. I taught us a command in our last class. What do I use with this? I'm going to know those who have been watching class videos and practicing now. What do I use with this password? Okay, so I get my answer already. I use pipe and grep for sudo. Okay, it returned nothing for me. Maybe because I use Ketent. Can I use cat instead? Cat root etc password pipe and grep sudo for me. Oh, sorry. I'm cutting password when I should be cutting what? Group. That's why I returned nothing. Do you see that? I think getend should work for sudo as well. That's it. So what have I done? If I run get entry group, it showed me everything inside group. And then I scrolled up and down like twice just before I could see the sudo, which is this. But I thought was grep in our last class. So if you don't want to see everything, you can say grep for me sudo. And that's what you are seeing here. So instead of listing everything, it shows you just sudo. I can do that with password file as well. I can say password and grep for me coach. So let's find out if there's a user called coach inside the password file. That's it, coach. Okay. So if I can now switch user to coach. And if I enter the password, okay, clear. Oh, it treated my coach as an SH user, not a bash user. Just exit, clear. So to create user on either of the distro of Linux or either of the package managers, the command is the same. In some literatures, you will see them use add user instead of user add. It's still the same thing. Okay. Then to also make user a sudoer, it's the same thing. What changed is just the name of the group. While it is called wheel, WHEEL, it is called sudo on Debian Package Manager. It is called wheel on Red Hat Package Manager, sudo on Debian. But the command that gets you there is the same, right? So let's take 10 minutes break. When we come back, we are going to be looking at permissions, file permissions, all right? All right, let's talk about permissions. And I clear screen and I list. Okay, let me see if I can copy some of these things that we have here. Or let me cd into black. Okay, good. Copy. If I'm able to share a whiteboard. There are 4 parts to a file's permission. The first part tells us about the file type, which is denoted by the first character in the permission. The remaining 3 parts are the actual permissions. Okay. Can you see my whiteboard yet?
Yes, we can.
All right. Let me see if I'm able to paste. Okay. Just give me a moment. Okay. I want to just give me a moment. Let me put some things in order here. Good. Then can I have another? So, okay. So I copied this from that screen and then here, space, space, space. All right, space, 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 space. I think we don't need space for that actually. Okay. So I thought was that you are able to tell if Jerusalem is a folder or a file. So also Lagos, Lexus, London, New York, Password, Tesla, Toyota, Volvo. So from what we are seeing on our whiteboard right now, is Lagos a folder or a file? Who knows?
Lagos is a folder.
Thank
Lagos is
you,
a
sir.
folder
Thank you, sir. How do you know it's a folder?
because the day before the
Thank
permission
you.
indicate.
Thank you. So that means password is a file. Is that correct?
That's what. Yeah, that's correct.
Good. So also is Tesla, so also is Lexus. Okay.
Correct.
Now, so I said there are 4 parts to permissions. The first one is telling you if this item is a folder or a file. And the actual permission is the other 3. So let's divide this into 3. It's in a group of 3. Okay. The next 3 parts of the file are the actual permissions, and they are grouped into 3 bits each. Okay. They are grouped into 3 bits. And the first 3 bits are for users, which is represented with U. Then the second, which is the middle bit, is for groups, represented with G. And the last is for others, represented with O. Okay. Can I have a pen? Good. Users, represented with U. Group, represented with G. And others, represented with O. Okay. So this is the one that tells you, hold on, let me change. So this is the one that tells you if it is a folder or a file. But the remaining 3 permissions are in bits. 1, 2, 3. The same thing for this. 1, 2, 3. The same thing here. 1, 2, 3. Same thing here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So R represents read. W represents write. And X represents execute. Read, write, execute. So the first of the three is for users. The second is for group, and the third is for others. Users, group, others. Are we paying attention, please? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
All right, so we are beginning to get into deeper stuff from here now. Now, if we when we return to our Linux, I will show you that there are two columns. This first column is for users, and this second column is for group. No column represents others because others means others. The rest apart from the users and the group. Okay. So before we return, let me quickly explain this. It means that this user, Ubuntu, has, look at the permission for users, read, write, execute permission over this folder, Jerusalem. And this group, Ubuntu group, and all the members of this group, they also have read, write, execute permission over the folder, Jerusalem. And others who do not belong to, who are not user, who others that is not a user and also not member of this group, they have read and execute permission only over Jerusalem. Okay, let's take Volvo file now and analyze it. It means that Ubuntu, the user, has read and write permission only over this file. The Ubuntu group, primary group, and members of this group, they have read and write permission only. And others have read-only permission over Volvo. Does it make any sense? Do you need me to explain that again? Hello, everyone.
Can you explain it again?
Okay. Let's take London. London is a folder. How do we know? There's a D here. There's a directory. The owner of the folder is this user, Ubuntu. And the group that have access to London is also this Ubuntu group and members of this group. Okay. London folder is 4096 kilobytes created on this day at this time. Right? Now we are looking at the permissions as pertaining London folder. We said that there are three sets of permissions. The first three is for users. The next three is for group. And the last set is for others. And I say this column is for user. The second column is for group. So as far as user is concerned, this is the permission for users. As far as group are concerned, this is the permission for group. And for others, this is the permission for others. So we are saying Ubuntu user have read, write, execute permission over London. Group have read, write, execute permission over London. And others have read and execute permission only over London. Okay, let's look at Tesla. Okay, Tesla is a file. Ubuntu user has read and write permission only. Ubuntu group and members of this group, they all have read and write permission only. And others have read-only permission over the file Tesla. Does it make sense now? Hello? Does it make any sense at this point?
I understand.
All right. So let's return back to our Ubuntu or our Themius. Okay, let me clear screen. If I list, good. Do you see this column is for users, while this column is for group? And I said the third column for others is not created because it could be, others is not defined. Others means you are not a user, neither are you a member of this group. You belong to others. Okay. So we can look at the red folder. There's a folder here called red. What permission does others have over the red folder?
Read and execute.
Beautiful. Is there anybody who doesn't understand? Look at the permission in 3 bits. Read, write, execute for user. Read, write, execute for group. Read, execute for others. Okay, let's CD into black. All right, so what permission does group have over a FOD file? There's a file called FOD. What permission does
Read,
group?
write. Read, write.
Read, write. Beautiful. So is there anyone who doesn't understand this now? Do you have anyone who doesn't understand how to explain this? Because it looks as though it's a big deal, but now that I've explained to us, you can look at it and explain by yourself. Okay, so if we are good, then if you go to the 7th page of the manual we shared with us on the group, you will see what read, write, and execute permission mean at each level, at the file level and also at the directory level. Let me quickly get that up and then probably might read that and end the class there. So at the file level, read means you are able to open and just read the content of the file. You cannot make any modification, you can't edit. That's what read means at the file level. At the directory level, which means at the folder level. Can I get that? Okay, I found it. Let me just share that with us so we can read that together. See, at the directory level, which is folder, okay, read means allow to list the content of the folder, which is your ls or ls flagel. For write, at the file level, write means to be written or truncated, modified, but not delete. That's what write means. You can modify the file, you can truncate the file, you can edit, but not delete. At the folder level, write permission means you can create a directory, you can delete a directory, you can rename the folder. Okay. At the file level, execute means you can treat the file as a program and run it. Okay. Executable file. We will see that when we get into bash script. And at the folder level, execute means you are allowed to change directory into that folder. So this is what read, write, execute mean for file and folders. So let's come here. So we will see that for the file Volvo, the user cannot execute this file because this file is not executable. It could be executable, but the user does not have the permission to execute this file. So what if I want to make the user, I want to give the user permission to execute the file? Please pay attention. There are two ways to do that. Okay, show us the first one. You say cheat mode. Cheat mode means change modification. Okay, cheat mode. What mode do you want to change for users? I said you represent users. So what permission do you want to give? Execute plus X. Cheat mode, user add execute permission, the name of the file, Volvo. It's as simple as that. Now, if I list, you see that before I gave user execute permission for Volvo, look at it, read write only here. And after giving the user the permission, it has turned to what? Read write execute. If I want to give to group for the same Volvo, is going to be cheat mode. What will change here? If U is for user, then G plus X for Volvo. And if we list, you see that the group also now have execute permission. How about others? Can we also give others write and execute permission over Volvo? So what's going to change here? G becomes O, write and execute. And if we list, can you see? So Volvo is now a public file. What do I mean by being a public file? Everybody, user, group, others, they now have the permission to what? Read, write, execute over Volvo. The same way you want to remove it, let's start. Let's say we want to remove the permission for others to read and execute. So we just put the plus changes to what? Minus. And if I list, see, it has gone. You can even remove it outrightly. I can even decide let others not even be able to read the file. And if I list, can you see that as far as Volvo file is concerned, others are unable to even read it. They can't read, they can't execute, they can't write. Okay. I also may want to say remove the permission of users to execute that file, or even for group, say cheat mode, user minus execute Volvo. And if we list, it is gone. Can do the same for group minus execute for Volvo. Let's create screen and list. Okay. So remember the task that the scenario I told us about. So we work as admin, server admin, and then the managers have been asked to limit access to the payroll file to only the HR department or to the head of HR across all branches. So let's say we have 17 branches across US. Each of the branch have their own HR head, and then we've been asked to limit access to payroll file to HR heads. What do? We go ahead and create a group and call it HR. So we say sudo group add HR, and if I get int group, I find HR. So let's say EC2 user, Bosse, and Cletus are HR heads in their respective branches. So what do? We add them to the HR group. So instead of adding them one by one, we can do multiple adding. So the command becomes sudo g password, that is group password, flag capital M, and you list all the users with a comma and no space. EC2 user. Okay. Then Bosse, Cletus, space the name of the group, HR. So if I run get entry group, so when I just showed us another command to do multiple adding. Okay, so now we've added. Okay, so can we create a group? Sorry, touch file and call the name of the file payroll. Okay, so we have a file called payroll. The owner of the file is EC2, and the group access is also EC2, isn't it? But we want to make members of HR also have access to payroll file. So we change the group access from EC2 user to pay to HR. Okay. How do we do that? Sudo change group. Change CH for change, GRP for group. Okay. And the name of the group, HR, the name of the file, payroll. And if we list, you will now see that the group that have access to payroll is now the HR group. Okay. But let's leave that. When we come into class on Monday, we'll talk about that properly. Let's not overload things. So today we've learned about creating users and making users super user, and the name of the group depending on their package manager. We said if it's a distro under Red Hat, then we add the user to the wheel group to make such user a super user. And if it's a distro under Debian package manager, we add the user to the sudo group to make the user a super user. I also showed us how to delete users, how to create groups, how to delete groups, and then we came to look at permissions, the 4 parts. The first part which tells us if a file, if the item is a folder or a file, and then the remaining 3 parts that are also in 3 bits. The first bit for users, the second bit for group, the third bit for others. Okay, and then I showed us how to add permission for each of these bits and how to remove permissions. Okay, what I did not show us, which is where we're going to start from on Monday, is how to do it in group. Okay, if you look at Volvo now, the user have read write, group have read write, others have no permission at all. If I want to make all of them have something like modification, change mode, UGO plus read write execute, UGO plus read write execute for Volvo. Sorry, Volvo. If I list, so that I did that at once. Okay. But what if I want to give them different permissions at once? I want user to have read and execute only. I want others to have write and execute, and I want a group to have read only. How do I do that? We do that using numbers. Okay, because you can't do that all at once. So it means if you want to do that in scripting, it might become impossible. Okay, so let me give you a sneak peek into what I'm talking about. Let's say Chmod. If I want to give users read and write, it's going to be 6. I want to give the group read and execute 5. And I want to give others read only 4. 6, 4, 5, Volvo. And if I list, you now see in one line of command, Volvo now have read and write for users, read and execute for group, and read only for others. This number thing is not difficult. I'll show you in 5 minutes, but not now when we come to class on Monday. I feel we've had enough. It's important that allow us to go rest. And for those who want to do other things, you can go do all you need to do. So thank you everyone for coming to class. At this point, I'm just going to encourage us again to watch class videos. But don't just watch class videos for watching sake. Understand what you're watching, practice what you're watching, and keep notes. All right? You're getting good value for free. I encourage that you make good use of it. Okay? And then you should also know that the essence of this free class is just for you to be able to evaluate yourself. Do you think the technical space in IT is for you? But if you ask me, it's for everybody, it doesn't discriminate. Only if you're unable to create time to practice. If you're unable to create time to practice, then forget it. There's nothing you can do about it. Nobody's going to do your press ups for you. So that's it. If you think you have what it takes, determination, and you're able to make out time to practice, then I'll tell you without mixing words, it's not difficult. Absolutely nothing is difficult here. Okay, don't watch class videos with the mind that, oh, it is tough. No, it isn't. I think that's all. Do you have any questions before we end the class?